We should also, just for you, talk about Tottenham, the Europa League winners. They've qualified for the Champions League. They finished in 17th in the table. Ange Postecoglou has done it.
Yes.
He's got the trophy in his second season. He always does it. And he talked about that comment and said, I wasn't being particularly belligerent or defensive there. I was just saying,
what happens.
That's what I do.
That's
I
what
do
he does.
always win a trophy in my second season. How did they do it?
You know something, can I just say quickly, Darren, I watched them yesterday, and watching them yesterday at home to Brighton losing made me think, did that happen the other day?
Yeah, but
Because
that one is understandable.
Yeah, but the thing is...
But the rest of the performances...
Yeah, but it's like they were that poor going into it. Then all of a sudden they get that performance, and I'm not saying it was magnificent, and then they win that and they get all the jubilation and everything. And then Brighton happens, and I'm thinking, did that really just happen? Are Tottenham in the Champions League next season, and did that really happen? And yeah, it did happen. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe, you know something? I was there, and I just had to like sneak out like a thief in the night because I went to watch it. Can't believe I went to watch Tottenham and Man United, but like, you cannot help but feel happy for the Tottenham fans. What I saw, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased for Ange, even though it's been a nightmare season for them. I'm pleased for Ange because, you know, if you hang in there, you can get something, and that's what he did.
I think, and knowing the club as well as you do, having covered them for so many years, Darren, I think what he said about the significance of winning that trophy is really interesting, because he said finishing, for example, third in the table, moving up the table, is not necessarily going to change the culture at a club. Only winning trophies changes the culture at the club, and until you've done that, you don't know what that feels like, and you don't know how to get over the line. I'm really interested in that because of what successive managers have said about the mentality at Tottenham.
Well, Conte being the one who was really scathing when he left, and then Mourinho afterwards joked about Spurs as well, and lots of 11 managers over 17 years have failed to do what Postecoglou's done. Mike can speak to you more about sort of that culture of winning that basically develops within a side that manages to get over the line. Maybe you're right as well. Yeah. But I think as far as Spurs as a club are concerned, they've needed this.
Yes.
You know, for me, this is the first European trophy in 41 years. They've actually needed that because I think it's such a big trophy. Arsenal haven't won a trophy in Europe. And so this kind of places them, in a way, it gives them that bit of kudos that they can really kick on with. But then it becomes about another big chance for the chairman, Daniel Levy. Are they going to sanction an expenditure that's going to get them back into the top echelon in terms of competing for players going above what they have had as a wage bill and bringing in the quality that deepens a squad and gets a bit of consistency? I was with Spurs fans at the weekend and they were saying everyone keeps making reference to all of our games that we've lost, but nobody cares if you win a big trophy, and that's what we've done. So I don't understand why people are
And do they let Postecoglou spend that money?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are saying, right, even though he's gone and won something, will something change in the next week or so? Will he still be the
Do you
man?
sack a guy who's made... Does any business sack a guy who's made £100 million for them? And
Or
take them
when Daniel
Only
Levy
football.
brought in Jose Mourinho, he wanted to bring in a manager who could win trophies.
Yeah.
Now he's got a manager who's won a trophy. Does he stick or twist?
And he did in the past as well.
And has every second season. But you've won trophies at some of the biggest clubs in Europe. So is there something in the psyche? If you are a club that wins trophies, is it different? Is there something different?
Absolutely. I totally hear what he says about, you know, coming third or fourth in the league or winning something. You remember those days, you cling on to those days, you love the feeling, you want that again. I mean, I'm a little bit, as a total neutral, a little bit doom and gloom about Tottenham, to be honest. I mean, they have been awful all season. The only reason they probably won that competition is because no Champions League sides now drop into the Europa League. Did they play anybody any good? I mean, even the final, I mean, it was probably the worst game of football I've ever watched.
European finals are never great, but that was...
Oh, it was so bad. I mean, I rarely want to switch over in a final.
I've got to say as well that Darren forgot that we did win the Cup Winners' Cup.
Cup Winners' Cup.
Expanded now.
Yeah.
Because when you said Arsenal haven't won, I just thought to myself, oh, you're Naeem.
Yeah.
But the Naeem from the halfway line, but we won it the year before. But like...
But don't you all agree that finals are for winning? The quality of
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be particularly...
Darren...
We're talking about the future now, aren't we? And whether,
Honestly.
you know, Postecoglou's the right man, whether he's going to, you know, what type of position a Spurs in, is winning going to spur them on to becoming a better team? So, of course, winning is the only thing in the final. But now they've won it, looking at the future, where are Spurs? And I would be in a little bit of a negative camp in terms of saying it was a really, really poor season. And OK, you can cling on to the fact that they're in the Champions League and won a trophy. But if you delve a little bit deeper, it's not like they were playing way better in that competition. You think, oh, my word, so they have got it in them. They were pretty average in that competition as well.
But again, the facts are, the record shows they're winners, and second of all, the culture's changed.
That's what it is.
And third of all, they've got the platform in terms of where they go from here to bring in players so that they can offer Champions League football.
And I love
that's
Ange.
what
I love
when
Ange.
you talk about, we always talk about managers doing a job at a club, right? A job isn't finishing third but no trophy. A job is what Postecoglou's done. Win a trophy, change the mentality.
Like he said he would.
Sell the club to other players and bring other people back in that can get the club where they want to be.
And it's what Manchester United have done in previous seasons, where maybe they they haven't had a season this bad before, but I think not since they got relegated in the mid-70s, but they have had a poor season. What they've done in previous poor seasons is win a trophy. By hook or by crook, they've got their hands on a piece of silverware at times. And this time, they weren't able to get that over the line. So, as poor as Tottenham's season has been, Manchester United, in terms of the league, have only been a point or two better off than them. And they weren't able to get the silverware either.
No, they weren't.
It was a toss of that final. Like, we're sat here, and I totally get the direction of where we're going here, but they've both had shocking seasons, both of them. And that final was I mean, Manchester United were the best team. What did Tottenham have? About 30% of the ball. It was, if anything...
And then the goal itself, even the goal.
Even the goal.
You know what was really quite embarrassing about it?
We're saying Tottenham have had a good season now because of toss of a... They've both been rubbish.
And we're being playful.
Yes.
But the point is, it's what that does then going forward. It's what winning a trophy in a really hard season can do. If anything, I mean, you two will know. It might mean nothing. It might not be able to change anything. But if you can look, if you're Man United or Tottenham, and say these seasons were awful. And Amorim went on the pitch yesterday and apologised to the Manchester United fans for the season, of which he's only responsible for half of it. But you know, he's kind of gone on and apologised to them. But if you come out of it with a trophy, do you start next season differently? I don't know. You might tell me I'm talking rubbish.
No, and it will. Listen, it can only be a positive. Of course, it can. It only be a good experience. Can only be positive. But I'm very much my outlook on life really is that if you keep doing the right things or the wrong things for that matter, if you keep being Manchester United and Tottenham putting those performances in. Let's get it right. Tottenham were very, very, very lucky to get away with a really poor season. Now they're in the Champions League and they've won something. And if you look at both the managers, one is doing a speech and everybody's cheering for him. And I love, Postecoglou. But one's doing that and one's having to apologise. Now, you've got total chalk and cheese. And then when you actually break down what the difference was, well, they were both equally as rubbish. And in fact, in that final they played against each other, Manchester United were way better and probably deserved to win.
Relatively speaking.
And we're still saying one's an absolute hero and one's having to apologise. I don't buy that and go along with it.
At the end of the day, Tottenham got the trophy. That's it. Tottenham got the trophy. That's what they'll
Well, they did, but you continue to do what you've just done. It's all right papering over that and saying, we win, and so let's continue doing all... No, it's not good. It's not.
Yeah.
They got really lucky. They did. And if you continue doing that, if they don't improve... They will be in trouble.
Yeah.
They will, and the manager will be in trouble, and the club will be in trouble.
This is what I was saying
if you continue doing that. They got lucky one year.
It's another chance for Levy because he's had
a
chance after the League Cup in 2008. Then he got Pochettino. Pochettino finished in the top four, no trophy, sacked him. Now Postecoglou gets a trophy, doesn't finish in the top four. You're going to sack him as well. That would suggest you don't know what you want.
Absolutely.
So I think they should stick with it.